Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this week's Wednesday Wisdom webinar presented by the ATO Airport Chamber. I'm Natasha Bowles-Hamer, Director of Program Management here at TAC, and I am so glad that you decided to spend your lunch hour with us. Wednesday Wisdom is designed to give you that midday boost of insight, strategy, and practical knowledge to help grow your business and sharpen your leadership skills. Today's session, From Overwhelmed to Opportunistic, Building a Future-Ready Mindset, could not be more timely. We are honored to have Dr. Courtney L. Teague with us, an accomplished executive coach, strategist, and CEO of CLT Associates. She will guide us on shifting from a reactive mindset to one that is ready, resilient, and full of opportunity. I encourage you to take notes, engage, and think about how today's insights can be applied directly to your own business and leadership journey. Dr. Teague, thank you and welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. It's so great to be here with all of you all during your lunchtime. You could have been anywhere else in the world, but you chose to spend it with us today. This session will be engaging, and although it is focused on like how you show up in your workspace, but it's more so about how are you taking care of you and making sure you have your mindset in a space that will allow you to thrive. We know that there's so much happening day in, day out, especially if we watch the news. But this is going to be an opportunity for you to actually reflect. So give me a 7 in the chat if you are okay with taking time for yourself. A 7 in the chat. All right, I see that 7. Thank you for that. All right, so I'm going to share my screen. You all should be able to see that now. I've seen across multiple industries, you all, from Fortune 500 companies, government, other agencies, that how much stress is costing us in the workspace, in our businesses, in organizations. Stress is costing a lot as it relates to capacity. And so, how can we get people to shift? Is what we're going to explore today. And even how can you shift your mindset so you could model for other individuals how to shift? All right. And so, like, like I shared, for over 20 years or near about 20 years, I've worked with all types of organizations, governments, and I've seen that there is one thing that is consistent throughout them all, is that people are overwhelmed because they are doing a lot. And when you do a lot, you don't give yourself time to restore and give yourself space to create. So, what's in it for you today? You'll learn how to turn that daily pressure into opportunities. I'll give you 3 practical tools that you can use immediately. And hopefully, you'll have a boost in your confidence as well as your leadership presence. In our agreements, I believe in agreements. This will not be just a sit, listen, and talk experience. You have the chat. I invite you to come off mute if need be, if you have insight and value you would like to add, because we're all co presenters. So, in the chat, what's one word for how you are showing up today? Drop it in the chat. What is one word for how you are showing up today? Some people try to be extra and give me a compound word or hyphenated word, whatever you choose, but give me something in the chat for how you're showing up today. What's one word to describe you, your state of being right now? And I know, Natasha, earlier you shared how you work. You're in a space you're working, but you're resting. So I already got your one word, Natasha. Let's see. And I know for me, I'm coming into this space open, open to learn, open to give, open to receive. All right. So I want you all to take a moment and take 3 deep breaths. Before you lead others, you have to know how you are showing up for yourself. Previously, I just asked you for that one word. It's important that you always be self-aware of how you're showing up in that very moment, because things may happen. If you're driving to your office, you may have uh, get a phone call, may get a text message, and those things may shift your mood. But it's always important for us to always make time and intentionally check in on ourselves. So yeah, take those 3 deep breaths. Relax, relate, release. All right. So why our capacity drains? Sometimes I think we always pour into other people's cups, and we pour from our cups, but actually we're supposed to pour from a state of overflow. Because when you start pouring from your cup, you're going to get empty, and your cup will not be able to be filled because you're constantly in action. So we got to start pouring from overflow. And also, we have constant demands on us. We have cognitive load. Everyone wants a decision right now, and we have to think about how we're going to solve this problem. How are we going to put out this fire, become a firefighter? We have some people that may have some issues that they come to us to solve, and we have to coach them and remind them that they have the tools to solve the challenges themselves. And then it's emotional labor, just day in, day out, you all. So we have shared language. In the title, you saw that I had a future ready mindset. And what a future ready mindset, it is the ability to see beyond immediate pressure and prepare for what's next by turning challenges into opportunities. And then, of course, in leadership, we know that means you need a pause before reacting. We got to take a moment. We can't respond or react to everything. Not everything deserves a response. And we got to spot opportunities hidden within those disruptions. So something may break us, or something may break our attention or break our focus, but there may be an opportunity to cause you to pivot. And you have to look at that and say, what is it trying to teach me? What is my invisible spots? Some people say blind spots, I say invisible spots. So, what are my invisible spots? How could this enhance me? How can I show up in a better state? All right. And of course, you got to lead teams with alignment instead of urgency. If everything isn't urgent matter, nothing gets taken care of. And you can't hold anyone accountable to 15 different things that seem like they require the same amount of effort. And so here are some of the common traps right here with the reality of being overwhelmed. We tend to put urgency over clarity. If there is an urgent matter, we need to make sure it's truly an urgent matter. Let's provide clarity. Let's take a step back. The house is not going to burn down. The building is not going to burn down, my friends. We have to take a step back and ask, what's the why behind this? How does this serve the greater good? How does this impact our business? What influence will this have on me emotionally? What influence will this have on the team emotionally? Then we tend to sometimes want to pile on tasks without shifting the approach. Let's, sprinkle in that start, stop, continue. Doing more does not yield results. Um, it- Sometimes we may have to do something differently. And we say yes to everything. We can't say yes to everything without setting boundaries, because everything you say yes to impacts the quality of everything else. So think about yourself. I want you to focus on you right now. When you say yes to a new project, when you say yes to event, you're saying no to yourself in other areas of your life. You're saying no to yourself for other projects, especially if those projects you're saying yes to don't align with your greater vision. Everything that comes towards your way does not require you to say yes to. And then, sometimes we'll say, and I know this is something that I am constantly reminding myself of, that no, Courtney, not everyone will do the things the way you would do it. I have to be okay with that. I have to make sure they have that clarity. I have to be okay with understanding that the people that are working with me on these different projects may do it differently, as long as they give me the results. So I have to rely rely on other people and understand that I can hold them accountable to get things done. Because if I try to do everything myself, I'm going to burn out. And I can't burn out because I have to be that person that is the strategic thinker. And with overwhelm, it does come from like habits. It comes from habits. So if we constantly feel like if something's broken, we have to automatically fix it. No, you may need to take that step back and pause and explore why is it broken or get someone else to answer it. These traps that we have on this slide, they can keep us from spinning. They can keep us spinning. I'm sorry. They keep us spinning instead of moving forward. How many of you all, just give me a 6 in the chat if you have multiple plates spinning? You have multiple plates spinning. Give me a 6 in the chat. I see a 6 coming up. Yeah, I see them. We have multiple plates spinning, and some of those plates are overflowing. And we could actually take some things off our plate and put it in a to go container for someone else to take with them and to complete. I want you to take a moment and think about what is it that's currently on your plate that you could delegate to someone else. And I also want you to think about how you would feel, how much time you would have available if you were to take that extra thing, that extra serving off your plate and give it to someone else to put in their to go container to handle. So, with the mindset shift, overwhelm isn't the enemy. If you know your plate is full, my friend, and you're not actively taking things off of it and passing it to someone else, staying stuck is. That's actually the enemy. You have that control within your sphere of influence. As a leader of your org, as an owner of your business, you have that control. You can take a moment, literally, if you make time to have a project meeting or a stand-up meeting with someone about the health of a project, you could think about your health, your organizational health, about your personal health in your state of being overwhelmed. Take time and plan delegation. Block off your calendar and make that your focus time, your non-negotiable. And begin to look at different people that you have. Every answer to every problem is a person. Believe it or not, every answer to every problem is a person, and they are our resources. We just have to leverage our resources. So, tool number one, literally just ask that question. What's the opportunity here? Have the clarity moment. The very question that you can ask as soon as we get off this call. You can text someone right now. What's the opportunity here? If you are presented with an idea, a task, a project, or a challenge, ask that very simple 4-word question. What's the opportunity here? So now I call this the 2-minute reset. The 2-minute reset, and we're going to take these 2 minutes, my friends, will be for you to think about that very thing that may be overflowing on that plate that you need to take off and pass to someone else. Think about that very thing. I want you to breathe, and I actually want you to get a piece of paper, or your cell phone and or your calendar and put down the time you are going to release or make space for that next person to pick up the thing that you're passing to them with clarity. 2 minutes, and I'm going to go off camera because I'm going to do the same activity myself. So give yourself 2 minutes. The ask is think about what's overflowing on your plate, what could be delegated to someone else, and when you are going to delegate it. So you are going to take action for 2 minutes. I'm going off camera too. All right. Dr. Brenda, give me a 5 in the chat if you took action in those 2 minutes. Yes, I'm naming you Dr. Brenda. Hopefully you all took those 2 minutes and you are going to act on it because that's the only way we can get and make this shift from just being overwhelmed and overcoming being overwhelmed. Here's another micro tool you could use as well. When you're having conversations with folks, instead of just automatically saying yes, I like to throw a little bit of improv in there. And with improvisation is all about being able to respond on the fly, but it gives you a moment to say yes and. Yes, improv is like sometimes things are thrown at you and you don't have time to fully think them out. However, you have the opportunity to take your prior experiences and respond. Here's an example of how improv and yes and could be put into play. Here's a situation. A leader suggests trying a new onboarding tool. All right, you already know your plate is full. Your plate is super full. You can automatically just push that leader down or push someone that is in your organization. You can offer rebuttal and push them back and say, yes, but we don't have the budget. Or you can say, yes, but my team is already too busy. What that yes, but will do is probably have a negative impact on your relationship with a particular leader within your organization. Different approach could be yes, and same situation, different response. Yes, and if we pilot it with one team, we can see impact before investing more. That very response on this screen will give you the opportunity to make motion move forward within guardrails versus launching a whole new onboarding tool across the org. You'll say yes, and we can do it within these guardrails and these parameters. It'll give you great data to refer to so you can make data informed decisions. And then here's another example. You could say yes, and if we shift one meeting, we can make space for it to try it. There you have it. You're not saying we're too busy. You're saying if we shift what's already on this book, this is how we can get these things done. Yes, and. And what yes and does, it makes you rely on emotional intelligence. You have to have self awareness, you have to have self management, you have to have social awareness and relationship management. And so that's why yes and works versus yes but, because typically when someone hears but, they block everything out, you all. They don't want to hear anything else after the but. As my mom used to say, when you say but, it cancels everything. And when you say I'm sorry, don't say but after. So that's that connection to yes and. Yes and followed by what your ask may be or your thoughts. Then here's a formula. I'll call it the capacity boundary formula. This formula lets you accept what's given, the yes, and define what needs to shift for it to be totally sustainable. It's a boundary. This is a boundary, and it's a leadership move. And it echoes the same mindset of yes, and. It will tell you, like right here, it says, yes, I can, you see in red, do X. And to do it well, I need to adjust Y. You're giving both ends. You're telling them what's needed on both sides. In order for me to give you this is what needs to shift. And oftentimes I've found with working with executives and other senior leaders is that they'll say, I don't know how to say it besides just saying no. And then they start to question their morale within the organization and the innovation within their organization and their businesses. And I've seen on the other side with working with the teams will say, well, I'm not going to share this because it will get pushed down or I am not feeling heard. This capacity boundary formula helps mitigate that. And then here's tool number 3. What we have to do, we have to pause, align, and shift. With this, You have to stop the reactive cycles of just being reactive to everything, feeling that everything is urgent. You got to take a breath, name what is happening, and create space before acting on it. And take 2 minutes to like reset before you decide. And I promise you, this pause, align, and shift, when I get through it, I'll tell you when you can probably use it. Here's a line. You need to always remember, let's reconnect to the bigger goals, the priority, and your shared values and core behaviors. You also have to ensure that the team is on the same page before moving forward. I did not say you have to have consensus. I don't believe in consensus. You don't have to have agreement across, but you have to have acceptance and commitment. And those things are very different, because I don't have to agree to something to commit to take action so we can work towards that collective result. And we got to shift sometimes. We have to take a moment when we do our after action reports, when we think about post projects. We have to take a moment and we may have to adjust and have a pivot. And that will allow us to move forward intentionally instead of I like in that chaos. We don't have time for chaos. All right. I want to play this brief video and give you an explanation for it in 1 second. Right here. This is a great example of focusing. It's not chaotic. Each of these musicians started from a space of clarity. They understood what their roles were. As leaders in organizations and business owners, we have to ensure that everyone understands their roles and understand how they play a greater part of the whole vision, because the vision is not just the leaders. We have to have collective accountability and collective responsibility. And right here, this orchestra, they all knew their parts. They all knew their music. And I guarantee you, they had feedback along the way. They didn't get feedback post, they got feedback along the way in a way that was constructive, but I wouldn't even say it was feedback. It was probably feed forward. And feed forward is like, hey, this is something we're going to continue to do. We would like for you to adjust. So they received that feedback. And that feedback probably wasn't just given from the leader, it was given from peers as well. So we have to create clarity and also create the conditions for everyone within the org to be able to give each other feedback. Once again, we're focused on not being chaotic. So I want you to just take a moment and think about that one thing, that one tool, that one action you will commit to this week. Not next week, not 2 weeks from now, not 3 weeks from now. What's one thing you could do before we hop off of this call, this webinar, that you can commit to and take action on? And I got your names. I see who's on this call. I will follow you on LinkedIn and ask you, did you do X, Y, and Z? So, what's that one thing you can commit to this week? So, we went over how to turn our daily pressure into opportunities. I shared 3 tools that you could use immediately. And hopefully, you have formulas or frameworks that I've shared with you that you can implement tomorrow, because it doesn't require anything beyond taking action. If you wanted to get your capacity snapshot, yes, Natasha knows. I will message you, and I don't have to know you. I will message you and ask you, are you doing the things that we discuss? Because I feel that in order for us to have a greater space in this world, we all have to be supportive of one another, and just even simply asking someone, how are you being? How can I support you? But here on this screen, if you have your phone, you could scan to get a capacity snapshot. It's a quick engagement of like, hey, This is where I'm falling, and it gives you additional tools and resources that you could use. And here's our manifesto. We choose yes and to build, not block. We protect our capacity so we can lead well. We listen fully and add value with intention. We set boundaries that honor people and progress. We reset so we can rise together. And if you ever need to chat with me, here's my email and my website. I'm super excited to just share out and support people on their journey. And we can take the conversation further. I hope you enjoyed this time with me, and I enjoyed sharing with you all. If you have any questions, once again, feel free to send me an email.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Teague, for sharing your wisdom with us today. And thank you to each of you for joining us for this week's Wednesday Wisdom webinar. I hope you're leaving with new tools and perspectives that will help you create clarity, confidence, and capacity in your work and leadership. Remember, Wednesday Wisdom is all about building stronger leaders and stronger businesses right here in the airport region and beyond. If you are interested in doing your own Wednesday Wisdom webinar, we would love to have you. We are big proponents of peer-to-peer learning at the ATO Airport Chamber, and we want to give a platform to the things that you have to say.